All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys outside and flip you around. All right, so we're gonna take a peek at the front of the vault. Right now we're over on the corner of Twig Street and Franklin Street. So this is gonna be the main entrance to the vault. We are urban, so there are gonna be a few folks here and there walking around. Over to the left side, you're gonna see our sister company, CW's Gin Joint, where all of our catering menus come from. And then of course the iconic Tampa Theater sign down to the left. Over to the right of the vault, we have our beautiful wall of columns that people love to take those photos with. Great for any of those kind of portraits. There is a ramped loading dock entrance right over this way. Then over back this way, if you recognize Sacred Heart Catholic Church, kind of gives you a better idea of where we are within the city. Just like these columns. So the vault did used to be the Exchange National Bank back in 1923. So it's definitely transitioned into a really cool space today. All sorts of events. It really lends itself well to the 1920s. Give you guys another look before we go back inside. All right. We're going to go in through these main entrance. Over to the left, you're going to see our main access point to the second floor. Walk into the vault lobby. Then over to the right, there's going to be a really nice seating area. Now, all the furniture you're going to see today does come with the venue rental. So there's no fee to utilize or remove that furniture. We do always keep these two gray credenzas up here. They're great for card boxes, memorial tables, floral arrangements, anything of that nature. And we're going to step into the main space. Of course, we have our beautiful 35-foot window walls, the original marble flooring and ornate ceilings from the 1920s. Now we are more than just a venue, so we do have some of our rentals out today. So we do coordinate all of our logistics with our white Chiavari chairs, 60-inch rounds, 72s. We have a collection of high top, low top, limited rectangular 6 and 8 feet, all sorts of rentals. With
Wow, you guys have gotten a ton of new furniture in.
Oh yeah, aren't those lovely?
Yeah, those are really cool.
We often use those for events, depending on guest counts. Some of these may be utilized. Like let's say we have a smaller guest count, we need to fill in a space over in a corner. We'll do kind of like an L-shaped grouping. Or for those larger guest counts, a lot of this furniture goes upstairs to our second floor mezzanine that I'll show you guys here in a bit. We do see a lot of our couples use the scallop chairs as their sweetheart table instead of the white Chiavari. So that's a great rental that's in-house. Just kind of an easy upgrade. Now we do also provide all of our uplights. So we have those out for you today as well. Those are going to be on every column and corner on both floors. Of course, it's a little sunny outside, so you might not get the big wow factor that typically you would at night. They are out there for y'all. So for our weddings, we do offer a wedding package that essentially is a ceremony through reception. Now we are able to accommodate that by doing ceremony and reception in this space and transitioning the space. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. We do a lot of pipe and drape that mirrors the draping that you saw in the entrance and also this alcove. It's going to be mirrored around the room. So all three of these alcoves are going to be covered. So all of our hidden preset tables and bar are going to be back there just ready to go. In addition to that draping, we're also going to do 2 drapes on either side of the entrance, give the couple of really nice aisleway, and then box in the rest of our preset tables. Now, ceremony-wise, typically we do see the altar back over this way, right in that middle area. Now we do have our seasonal art feature Trixie that lives with us. So if your couple wants to give her the day off, we can do another wall of drape just to mirror going on around the room. There's a few different styles, so that's definitely something that we can look at if you guys are ever interested in coming by, seeing what those options are.
Do you guys do your draping in-house, or do you have to hire a third-party company to do that?
Either way, we typically have TPC do all of our in-house AV draping, lighting, anything of that nature. They are awesome. We love them dearly. We're so thankful to have them in our lives. So they come in and they put up all of our draping for us. They actually came today and put up our new lighting as well, just to make sure that it was nice and pretty for everybody. They're great because they'll be with us on site day of. So once ceremony's over, we'll take all of our guests back out this front, and TPC will drop their drapes. They'll take those down. They'll swag open these areas, and then our day-to-day team will go ahead and pull all those tables out, get the chairs relocated around those, fill waters, light candles, all of that magic that happens when all of our guests go back out to courtyard. Now, that is one thing that's great about the vault. We do have not only our day of team, but we have our supplemental team as well. So you're not going to show up to the venue and have to move tables, chairs yourselves, do cocktail hour. That's something that we do. So we coordinate all of that for you guys so you can focus on your clients' details. That's something we always push because we do not require planners, but every tour I always say that is one of your biggest hires is going to be your planner, because they're going to be the ones to really bring that uniqueness to life. Of course, I have to take you guys over to the money vault. It's what gives us our namesake, essentially. This used to be the teller's bank back in 1923. So it is original to the building. Thank you, Norma. So you have the really pretty door here. It is functional. A lot of times we see photo booths in here. These do fit the 360 photo booths. So you do have that option if it is one of the expandable ones. It's a nicer, intimate room. It's kind of private. I love to tell our guests that, those audio guest books are great in here. I've seen cigar rolling rooms, specialty cocktails, anything of that nature. I've even seen kind of more of a DIY photo booth back here, since we always have this pipe and drape up, hides all of our secrets behind. And we do have uplights in here now, but there also is an overhead light that is also an option. And across from here is going to be where our prep kitchen is. So this is where our team functions out of. This is also where all of our functioning is coming for dinner service. There is also a service elevator back that way that you guys are welcome to use if you're going up to the second floor. If we have any hair and makeup over here, that's how you're going to access that second floor with all of your items that you need to roll up that way. So I'm going to take you guys back outside over to our cocktail hour in the courtyard, where all of the guests would go while we transition the space. And then we'll come back and we'll go check out the upstairs where all of our bonus spaces are as well.
So Norma, a funny story that I have about the vault. This was years ago before COVID, but I was literally walking downtown Tampa, and there was a bride standing outside the vault. It was probably like during cocktail hour or whatnot. And I just walked by her. She was in her dress, and I was like, "Oh, congratulations." And she looked at me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're Anna from Marry Me Tampa Bay." She's like, "Just come into my wedding." So I literally walked in off the street and just like joined her. I didn't like sit at a table. We went upstairs and hung out at the balcony, but like kind of crashed this girl's wedding. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, please come in, like join us."
I would too. I'd be like, "Oh my God, you're famous. Yes, join my wedding." That's hilarious. I wonder what the view is like up there the whole time, because we don't often see people sit up there anymore. They used to see people up there for dinner service, but post-COVID, no one really wants to take that hike up the stairs. So
yeah.
our guest counts have come down a little.
It made sense for us because we didn't know anyone at the wedding, including the couple. So
yeah, so no, that's perfect for you guys. I personally love the mezzanine. That's usually where I'm at when the started kind of overseeing things. While we're out here, let's talk a little bit about valet load-in spots. This valet lane right here is a city load-in owned spot that is available until 4:30 every day. It is not a ramped load-in, but I will point that back out to you guys when we go back to the vault. Over to my right is going to be CW's Gin Joint, once again, where all of our catering menus come from. And then we're going to go down this way to the courtyard. Of course, our couples love going over to that adventure to the Tampa Theater to take those classic photos. And then we also have this beautiful green wall that's great for photos. If your couple is getting married on site on the weekend, they're more than welcome to come out here and do some portraits, first touches, first looks, anything of that nature. While we're out here too, the whole park is uplit with lighting. So the entire perimeter is uplit. There's also uplighting in the trees around these palm trees as well. Thank you. All right. So for our wedding package, we always have everyone navigated down this way for cocktail hour, like I said, so we can do that transition. With that wedding package, we do include a welcome Prosecco. So we usually station that right here so guests can just come and grab one of those, make their way straight over to the bar that we usually caddy corner on this landing. In addition to that, setup wise, we do about 8 high tops around the fountain, 2 bistro tables for seating over in the grass. And then back in that lobby is also accessible to guests. So we put 2 more bistros and 2 high tops in there as well. Now, while our day-to-day team is inside, we will have our supplemental team out here clearing, serving, passing all of those pre-selected hors d'oeuvres, just kind of keeping everyone have a good time. Typically, I kind of float back and forth between while Norma runs the show inside. It's true though. This is also a great place for that grand send-off. So if your couple wants to do, you know, that lovely sparkler exit or cold sparks, this is an area that the city of Tampa will let us do that, of course, with a pulled permit. We can do, I've seen cold sparks back this way, and then our line usually starts a little bit further back. With that said, we do always have our team come out here to help with sparkler exit, and, you know, more helping hands, the better with those kind of things. Garage wise, over near this Franklin sign, if you guys are ever pulling up and you are permitted to park inside the garage, this is where you're going to pull up to. So one of our team members will run over here, let you into the gate if applicable, and then that's kind of what you're going to look for. This is also where the rest of our guest cars are parked, so there are options there. If your guests are wanting to have valet out in the city, it is always available Tuesday through Sunday starting at 5, or they can purchase packages.
All right, we have a few questions.
Sure.
The first one is, do you do ceremonies in the courtyard or lawn for smaller ceremonies?
They did in the past. We haven't seen one now just because, you know, that fire truck goes by. We can't fit a whole lot of folks. And we do see typically a lot more. I want to say anytime I get an inquiry for an outside ceremony, they're way above that guest count. I want to say you can probably do 50 here. We can't seat people over in the grass, so that does kind of take away from your walkability over here. With that said, it's always something to keep in mind. If we do ceremony out here, are you guys okay with having cocktail outside as well? Or are you wanting to transition that inside our lobby where we have our plan B backup?
Got it. And that was the next question. What's the indoor backup for cocktail hour?
Let's go check
since
that
you're
out.
flipping the main
Another
space.
little tidbit I wanted to mention too, unfortunately, we're not able to put tents in this area. So it kind of limits us a little bit when it comes to those outdoor ceremonies.
Yeah.
Because then unfortunately we can't really do the tower lobby as that backup that we do for cocktail hour. And like Ashley mentioned, unfortunately, there's so much construction going on right now that
It's a little noise
it's
pollution.
doable, but we would hate to under deliver in that regard. Because of course we can't really control all of those things. Inside, we have great buffer. The building, of course, the walls are amazing. So yeah, it's something that we're willing to discuss though.
Yes.
So if it's something that your couple's interested in and all that good stuff, then absolutely. We love playing around with different styles too.
Yeah.
So
we do.
super open to that.
Perfect. Okay, a few more questions.
Sure.
Is the lawn real grass or turf? And does it dry quickly after rain?
It is real grass. So after a rainy day, we definitely do try to avoid seating bistros out in the grassy area since it is a little bit, you know, mushier for those ladies with the heels. But you do still have all the nice concrete to walk. While we're kind of talking about that plan B, this whole lobby does turn into our plan B. So you have this really nice open windowed room. We'll put a bar over this way and shift all this furniture down or remove it depending on guest count. But you do have this really nice glassed-in space, and it does transition over to where our elevator cars are that I'm going to show you here in a moment as well.
Okay. Next question is, do you allow engagements? Do you do engagement sessions out in that courtyard area? And if so, is there a fee for that?
We typically require food and beverage with all of our packages to book, but it is something that, you know, depending on time of year, whatnot, reach out to us. And if we can accommodate, we're more than happy to, you know, look to see what that looks like.
Okay, and I think they mean more just like a photo engagement session.
Yeah.
Just, you know, a photographer come for like an hour.
It'll depend on our scheduling. So the one thing with the tower, of course, there are a whole lot of businesses, which we can't, typically we have access to the courtyard as far as like what we own after 5 o'clock. So during the day, like we can't completely block it off from the rest of the tenants. But again, something not that's super common because scheduling with all the tours, walkthroughs, menu tastings, all that good stuff, but definitely reach out. If we can accommodate it, then we will absolutely do so. For those little things, if you're not necessarily needing any sort of rearranging of the space, you're not needing like full hands-on help, then fee-wise, it's all good. We're happy to open the venue for you. If it's going to be a little bit more production, then of course, depending on how long you're needing in the space, then we'll figure out what kind of fee that would look like.
Okay. And then are there acoustics in the lawn? Are there any speakers, existing lighting, any outdoor electrical outlets?
Yes, there is lighting. So like Ashley mentioned, all of the oak trees are going to have up lighting. The palm trees are wrapped in lighting as well. With our courtyard rental, we do include market lights as well. So that'll be from palm tree to oak tree. It stays the entire evening. So grand send-offs, you'll still have that available. As far as power, there's no proper speakers out here. So whoever your DJ is, typically will bring a speaker. And if not, TPC production crew is happy to plug a speaker in. If I'm not mistaken, speaker with tablet and maybe a microphone just in case if needed. I believe it's $250. It's not something that we do very common because typically DJs and any entertainment, they'll bring in their own stuff, but the power is going to be over at that column right outside the door. There's also power out the park as well, but that'll be the main one utilized for any sort of speakers and such.
And is there access to get, if it is raining during cocktail hour, is there access to get from the indoor ceremony space at the vault over to this lobby, or do they have to walk outside to do that?
Oh no, so we're going to take you back this pathway that you would walk if it was inclement weather.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this does extend over into your plan B for cocktail hour. These cars actually go up to the 22nd floor where our offices are, but it does extend down here. Depending on guest counts, we can definitely add some of those high tops over here if needed. But this is the way that all of your guests would walk in and out of the vault. So let's say they're leaving ceremony and it's raining, they'll come back this way and then they'll just take that pathway back.
And we try to be very mindful with the weather. We always say, unfortunately, the one thing that we can't really transition super last minute is going to be the bar. Because of course that is a little bit time consuming. If we do end up transitioning cocktail hour inside, we will split our bartenders to 2 bars. That way one will be kind of near the elevator area, the other one over in the tower proper lobby. So guests have that option. It doesn't bottleneck just for getting a beverage. And we will shift all of that bulky furniture that you saw over there out of the way. So there's a little bit more walkability.
And then going around this corner, you may recognize these doors, CW's gin joint, back entrance. This does lead you over to where our restrooms are for most guests. So you'll have these 2 restrooms here. They are padlocked during the day, but of course they'll be open for event time. And we have all these lovely 1920s photos for all the guys to look at while they wait for the ladies. It's typically where I find all of them. And then right over this way is where that ramped loading dock is going to be on Twig Street. So we can't prop open any doors event day, but if you guys need any help, grab a team member. We're more than happy to help you with that. The AC and everyone inside the building will totally thank you. Of course, we do have the back of the vault door. Definitely a really cool piece. I love seeing some fun detail moments here, just utilizing all those pieces in the space. Now we're
All right,
back.
we had a question about load-in. Can you share
Sure.
more details about load-in setup, event restrictions as far as times? How early can they set up? How late can they break down?
100%.
And any noise ordinances?
So vendors are allowed to enter into the building to start setup 3 hours prior to contracted event start time. With that said, if you guys do have a little bit heavier of a setup, we're as flexible as we can be. We want to have a smooth transition day of. So let's say we don't have an event that day before and all of your guests are coming for that ceremony rehearsal. You're welcome to come and drop off some of those decor items that you may need to bring, any kind of bulky furniture. If we're able to schedule a delivery that day before, more than welcome to do that just to make everyone's day of easier. But we typically do allow everyone in 3 hours prior to, because that's when our substantial team comes in to start setting our space. So that's kind of why we have that rule there. With that said, with our wedding package, we do allow that 10 a.m. arrival for our couple. So if planner needs some access at that point for random little things, or obviously makeup artists, hair and makeup people, they all are more than welcome to enter into the building. I know there was another question in there too.
Actually look at the loading zone through the window.
Perfect.
So it's going to be off Twig Street, and Ashley has created a great vendor snippet that we'll share with you all. Kind of has all the little details about Twigs being the main loading ramp. It is city owned, so unfortunately it's not something that we can kick people out of, but we do our best to accommodate and kind of shift things around. Our valet team, like Ashley mentioned, works out of the front on Franklin. So they'll let us utilize that as long as possible. And then of course, once they start service at 5, usually we're already starting our ceremony. So I don't anticipate having an issue with that. And we, unfortunately, one thing that I will mention, we don't have a whole lot of carts on site. So we always recommend, if you are needing to kind of shift things around, if it's going to be a huge production, let us know ahead of time so that we can figure out, kind of borrow some from Gin Joint if needed, or maybe just purchase additional ones to have for you all. But aside from that, as long as the parking garage exit on Twig Street is not blocked, you can be there as long as needed. And then, of course, for breakdown, same thing. Typically, when all the vendors come in at the same time, we're lucky enough that TPC, they have access to the building, so they're not going to take up that vendor load-in zone. So we just try to coordinate. Typically, planners will kind of, if there's a whole lot of vendors involved, they'll try to set up kind of like a breakdown timeline per se. And last little tidbit, if we don't have an event the following day and there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be picked up and your vendor wants to come in that following morning, that's perfectly okay. Let me know. They'll just need to send me a text message. If I'm not on site, then our building security will give them access. They can come pick up at their leisure and we're good to go there.
Sound ordinance wise, we don't really have any issues there. We do always ask our DJs be mindful of their bass. Since this wall does back up to CW's Gin Joint's ball of all their expensive bottles and product, it does start to rattle a little bit with that bass. So just that fun battle of, okay, let's turn that bass down a little bit more. But that's really our only ordinance there. And load-in wise, if, let's say it's that bigger guest count and we do have a DJ up on the second floor, we do have a service elevator back this way over where you guys would load in through these doors back by that prep kitchen. You guys are more than welcome to use that. There is also a little storage space upstairs. We do service out of here, so definitely grab a team member so that we can escort you this way. Make sure we're not doing anything heavy catering wise in that particular moment. But you guys are more than welcome to use that to get all your stuff up to the second floor. Or like I said, photographers or so, if they need somewhere to store things that are still accessible, but maybe you don't need them the entire night, there is a spot up to the left of that elevator that you can use. Were there any other questions?
That's everything so far.
Yay, all right. So we'll kind of chat about reception style when you come back in. Let's start with kind of guest counts. So guest counts are definitely tricky in the vault. We're essentially 30 by 78. So the space does fill up rather quickly. We can do up to the 150 guest counts for a seated dinner. With that said, that's all tin tops. So if you're wanting to do that elevated tablescape that we typically see, that's going to come down to more in the 130s. Now that's like a 13 table, typically that'll come down a little bit more. We can, With a creative layout, a mix of the 60-inch, 72-inch rounds, rectangular tables, we can do up to like a 160. It just all depends on how creative you're getting, what your guests are willing to kind of not sacrifice, but chat about there. We do have a bar, custom bar on wheels underneath the mezzanine right now. This is typically where we see it and kind of the form it's in, but it can turn into a straight bar and move around the room. We also have our lounge over here on the right side for you guys to see. For our smaller guest counts, this is usually the setup that we witness if it is a plated dinner. And then we do have one of our 72-inch rounds over on this side. Let's say it's a larger guest count and we need to remove that lounge. This is a great way to gain back a few extra folks. With that said, this is also where we do food stations. So if your couple is wanting to do a buffet, we're going to remove everything out of that area and have that underneath here. Right. So once everyone,
sorry to interrupt, with a dance floor and a band, what is your guest count?
With a band, we usually say around that 130. However, we did have a wedding back in May, but they did a mix of the rectangular tables, rounds, and they had a band over in the center window. Their final guest count was 162. Now, it was definitely tight in here. Reception time, I mean, I think we went to acrylics in like the first 10 minutes. It was definitely very full in here, but dinner service was very smooth. So that's kind of where we really care about that dinner service flow, since that is a representation of us. If there are layouts that we get back that are a little bit more creative, and there's points that we're like, that table just, it can't be there, we'll let you know that, but we're more than happy to work with different layouts. We want to see what all can fit in the space. I mean, we've seen all kinds of guest counts and different events in here. So you have a lot of room to work with. And again, if you are planning something for a couple and you're curious if something works out in the space, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to do another FaceTime or have you by, just so you can really feel what the space feels like. Because I mean, it's so different in pictures. It's different on those paper layouts than it really is in person. So, you know, we want to have a smooth transition.
And as we walk upstairs, I will mention, and it's not something super common, but it has happened where we place the bar in the lobby area.
Yes.
One, it's not a focal point. If you find that the couples group isn't really a big drinking crowd, then why not save the space in there, especially if they want to do stations, then we do lose that under mezzanine area. So this handful of times, and it's never been an issue, we still keep the 2 to 3 bartenders because you'll have the full wells. So again, just one of those things where there are options if you want to be creative. There's a little bit of compromise with certain things, but it just really depends on what is more important to the couple.
This area too, if you're not putting a bar over here and you do have one of those regular guest counts, it also fits those 360 photo booths really well. So we can remove all this furniture. We'll leave that credenza here. It's a great prop table. Looks nice. Don't need a linen for it. All right, let's take you guys upstairs and show you all of our bonus spaces that come with our rentals. So I'm a sucker for a picture on these marble stairs. Love a good wedding dress moment. Or, you know, a friend or a mom tying a shoe. Great for all of that. Now we're going to go into our private suite first. That is available with our wedding package at 10 a.m. That's when our team comes on site. So Norma and I will get here, start kind of setting things up, getting ready. Do have, thank you. Right. So this is available all day for our couple. There isn't a time we're going to kick them out. And let's say you guys come for that ceremony rehearsal the day before and we don't have an event, you're welcome to drop some things in here as well. Now there is a bathroom access and service elevator access through this door. Of course, we'll always have our sodas, waters up here for you guys. And then if we need to bring ice up when we get on site, we're more than happy to do that too. All right, I'm gonna take you guys over to the glass room. It is closed in, so it does open up to that first floor. It is a nice private view over here. Typically, this is used for a holding room right after cocktail hour for the wedding party. So we'll have everyone come up here once they're done with those photos. It's on its own AC, so it's really nice to kind of come cool down.
The ladies are also more than welcome to use this space. Of course, over there it's gonna be a little bit messy. All the shades are functional, so if there's any photo, video for those folk getting ready shots, or first look, we've seen a lot of first looks with bridesmaids, parents, all that good stuff. You're more than welcome to use the space. And if needed, I always tell the girls, especially for bride, feel free to get your hair and makeup done in here if you'd like. There's typically steaming going on and all that good stuff, so at least here we can crank that AC down, and it's just a soothing kind of zen moment. It is a little bit of sound barrier, which is also great. So we'll be setting up downstairs, but you won't necessarily even hear us that much. You'll see the behind the scenes, but not really all the back and forth with the things that come with setup.
That's setup magic. All right, now that you guys are nice and dizzy, let's go to another space. This is going to be our last space today that we're going to see. It's going to be our open mezzanine. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go down these and up the stairs in front of us once again. This will open up to that second floor mezzanine. Now this space is also super versatile. It is open to our guests day of if our couple is wanting that, or we can stanchion it off so we don't separate the party. We'll always have these 3 high tops up here and some lounge furniture. Depending on those guest counts, usually it is a little bit more loungy up here if we were moved downstairs. Of course, we do have our storage on another level too, so anything extra we'll just take up there. Now this is where we always send up our vendor meals. So right when bride and groom eat is typically what triggers us to send that up, unless it's on the timeline in another area. But this is a great place for you guys to come up, still have a bird's eye view of the space, and be able to take that few minutes to just kind of eat your yummy food that chef's prepared and take a breather, kind of collect yourselves again.
Okay, question about the furniture. If the couple does not want to have any of the furniture that you guys have there, is there enough storage space to store everything? And if so, is there a fee if you have to remove all the furniture?
We have removed all the furniture before, so that's no problem at all. We have plenty of storage here. And there's no fee whatsoever. We're more than happy to coordinate that. If they have a different vision, you just let us know and we'll get that on our list of things to do for day of and before whatnot.
Awesome.
And I will mention regarding fee as well, there is no fee to bring in your own furniture, even with tables and chairs. That's no problem at all. We've had it where everything is brought in rentals wise, and that's perfectly okay. As long as we know ahead of time so that we can get everything out for you guys, then easy peasy.
And what are your ceremony and reception chairs? What do you do white chivaris for them, or?
Yes,
That's right.
White chivaris. So we have a few high boys that we'll have up here, and then we do all the shorter ones. So those will be for cocktail hour as well. And then we do include linens with all of our wedding package. Of course, we do see a lot of planners bring in their own linens, so that's perfectly fine too. We can always, have your linens on the main tables, and then if we need to do supplemental linen on, the food stations or just kind of our random spots, more than happy to do that too.
For your linens, do you just have your standard black and white, or can they do all the different fabrics, colors, etc.?
So we do black, white, ivory, sage, champagne,
Blush.
and blush.
We do all of our rentals through Imperial Party Rental. So usually if there's anything else that the couple is interested in, we just send that link out. If they have it available, then of course we're more than happy to rent it. If they don't have what they're looking for, then we always recommend either decor team, planner, all those good things, they can be outsourced. And they can be delivered. I believe Nuage is the one, they just send it over the mail, and that's great. We'll drop it off. We have a different address, so just keep those things in mind. Reach out to us for the office address. It'll get delivered upstairs, and then at the end of the night, we'll pack everything up and leave it back up there for pickup.
That's kind of the end of us. So I'm going to put you guys into tripod mode so we can chat a little bit more. If you guys have more questions for us, just bear with me for a moment. All right. I think I saw a question come up about what our packages look like.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so there we go. We're good to go. Hello again, everybody. So our wedding package that includes the ceremony through reception is going to start at $12,000 on a Friday and then $13,000 on a Saturday. There are holiday rates that come with those for the major holidays, but typically that's going to include your tables, chairs, linens, uplights, wedding cake cutting fee, Prosecco welcome at the cocktail hour, our joyous staff that's going to be here all day. Our whole team is going to be here. So there's a lot that goes into that. It also includes a tasting, of course, over at CW's Gin Joint. Those are typically going to be on a Wednesday, Thursday at 2 p.m. We do super intensive tasting and walkthroughs. So there's a lot that goes into that. We may be down here for a good 4 hours on those tasting days. So
Yeah.
if our lag time and communication is a little crazy, that's why.
But it's great because the couple does get Gin Joint all to themselves. They can bring parents. We try to keep it within 4 guests just because we have found when the more people there are, sometimes the couple finds it a little bit difficult to make decisions. But if we need to accommodate more, it's just an easy ask. We'll confirm with chefs. Planners too. So we are more than happy to have them on board. And then if they're not available, or maybe they just don't want to be a part of the menu tasting, then we can definitely have them be a part of the walkthrough afterwards.
Very cool. That's awesome.
And we do plenty of walkthroughs throughout. There isn't a limit that we do. Honestly, we might do too many sometimes. I want to say for most of our couples, we could go anywhere from 3 to like 7 to 10 walkthroughs with these folks. So it just depends on the couple and, you know, if they're out of state or not, all kinds of things. So we're constantly down in the vault doing those kind of walkthroughs with everybody, but they're great because then we get to know those couples and kind of that day of, if we need to pivot at all. We know their preferences, you know, we've seen them interact with their planners and everybody else. So we like doing those walkthroughs with everyone to really get to know them for day of.
For a flip of less of 125 guests, pretty standard round set up. Do you need more than a full hour of cocktail to fully set up for waters, light candles?
No.
It depends. We try to keep it within an hour as far as guest entering.
Yes.
So usually at least 5 to 10 minutes, we would love as a buffer, because of course you want to get your room shots. We like to speak with photo and video as far as lighting goes, because our general uplighting is going to be amber, but we understand everybody's styles are different. So if you all know that you are going to be working with us and you don't like amber, or maybe you just want to try a different color, let us know, let the couple know. We can either schedule a walkthrough, or day of, we'll make sure we have that time with TPC so they're aware that we're going to shift around the lights. And then of course, if the couple wants to do a first look of reception, then we try to be mindful of those things. But we've gotten really good at flips. I don't want to jinx ourselves.
Yeah.
But we have a system. It's all hands on deck. Typically management is the one with 2 other supplemental team members. We tackle the flip just because it has to be very strategic and smooth. Sometimes there are going to be guests in here with the couple still taking photos. So we want to be very professional and not scattered all over. But definitely the hour minimum would be ideal.
Awesome. Great. Does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap up the tour? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. It was so thorough. You guys did an amazing job and stuff I didn't even know myself. So you guys did really, really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining, guys. And definitely, again, reach out. We'll send you all those vendor pamphlets and things, even more details, have you buy. We'd love to connect. So thanks for joining us this morning, you guys.